Marco, let's start with the fins. Give us a rundown on the size of fins you have for each board, etc., and why you chose them, rake, how you came to choose those size fins, etc.
Especially here in Furt, it's really important to have like the right fin size to get like the control, to get the speed, the acceleration. I'm sponsored by Chopper, so I'm mainly using Chopper fins, which are giving me a really good control, which is really important here. And sometimes it's really coming down to a difference of 1 centimeter. So 1 centimeter can make already a big change. So on the small boards, I'm using from 32 to 33. The medium board, 71 wide, I'm using from 36 to 38.
And what about when you chose the fins? Is there certain, like, different fins of different style, like different rake, different what? How does that work?
I mean, all the brands are quite similar. The one to each other has maybe a little bit more stiffness, but all the fins are quite similar. Everybody is like choosing for his own setup, but there are like main 3 or 4 brands on the market which are working pretty good for us.
And then foot straps in relation to fins. I mean, I guess, how do you have your foot strap position-wise, depending on conditions, size of board, etc.?
Like my teammate Jordi has a little bit, he's a bit taller than me here, has a bit longer legs and everything, so he could use a wider stance, which offers a better control. I would like to have this stance as well, but then it starts to hurt a little bit here in the middle. But it's really important, especially here in the choppy conditions, to have a wide stance, to have a little bit more control.
Some guys seem to have super tight straps, some have looser straps, some have narrow pinch, some are, yeah. So, like, you know, how do you...
I kind of like it to have like tight straps as well, because it gives you a better control. I mean, it's really important that the back foot comes easy out, especially in the jibe, and you want to have it tight in the front to make like really like be tight in the straps in the jibe, so that you don't lose the pressure on the board.
And does that change on different board size, or are you just consistent?
On all the sizes, from 140 down to 98.
Okay. And then mast track, you know, like I guess you move this quite a lot depending on conditions or the board, or what? What's your thinking with this?
It really depends on all the brands. I mean, it looks quite forward, it gives you a better control, but also the trim with this position is the best. But the easiest to understand is like if you need a little bit more control, you move it a little bit forward. If the board feels a little bit sticky in the water, if the board doesn't accelerate, when the gust is coming, you move it a little bit back, but always just a little bit, just to see the difference.
Okay, and then while we're here, downhaul. How much do you put on, and do you always put the same on, or what?
Like also between our riders in the team, everybody's using a different downhaul. Like it also becomes of how tall you are, how heavy you are. Like I always try to explain to customers that like everybody needs to find his own balance. Like when you have too much downhaul, the sail becomes flatter, maybe it's a bit faster, but you're gonna lose the trim a little bit, it's becoming unstable. So you have to reduce the downhaul a little bit. When the sail feels kind of heavy, like no acceleration, when the gust hits you, then you have to put a little bit downhaul. So everybody needs to find his own balance between acceleration, heavy of the sail. So it's really hard to give like a perfect tip to the customers.
Yeah, okay. And then the boom heights. You know, some guys seem to have it in the same place, some have it higher. Do you have a high boom, low boom? Do you move it around a lot?
I mean, here in Furt, I want to keep it as low as possible. Still that I have the power for pumping and everything, but you want to have the control as well. So that's why I'm using a little bit lower. From 7.7 up to 9.0, I'm using it higher because you want to have the lift of the board.
Yeah.
Especially in the light wind, it's better to have a little bit higher for pumping.
Okay. And then an adjustable outhaul, do you change it much during a race? Does it make it, you know, what's the thinking with that?
I think I could use it, I could also go without, because in the race you have no time. You're so focused on yourself. Sometimes the wind is picking up or it's dropping a little bit, you release or you pull a little bit, but during the race I'm so focused, I'm concentrated on my way where to go, especially here when it's so choppy. There's no time that you kind of change something on the outhaul.
What's the thinking, that you would have less to make the sail have more give, or you tighten it up to have the sail have more?
Sometimes it's like I always tell the customer the sail should touch the boom a little bit. But if you put it too much, that the sail becomes really stiffer. So there's always just a little bit of tension or a little bit, if the wind is picking up, I pull a little bit. The wind is dropping a little bit, I release, but not like that it's gonna be a balloon.
Okay. And battens, you know, you see a lot of guys tweaking the battens. I mean, yeah, tell me.
I think the most tension needs like the lower battens to keep the profile in the sail. But sometimes you see in the sail some wrinkles at the top battens, but this is really important. The customer should not touch it because this has an effect on the leech. So it's gonna close the leech and you're gonna miss the acceleration. It's gonna feel heavy, so you're not gonna have acceleration. So the top battens don't need any tension. The lower battens need like tension to have a little bit profile in the sail.
Okay, and then finally, the mast is a sort of unknown quantity. Yeah, everyone talks about having a load of different masts and finding one that feels better, or is there a bit more science behind it?
Like, I mean, all the masts have a little bit tolerances, but little tolerances. So the tolerances the last years becoming less and less. So, but you still, if the one mast feels a bit better, like it gives you a better trim of the board, it's more stable, better acceleration, so you're gonna choose the better one. It's also for your mind a little bit. But the tolerances are really little and little.
Okay. Perfect. Cheers, man.